never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies is the second law of power. As outlined in Robert Greene's acclaimed book 48 Laws of Power, to gain a deeper understanding of this godfather-esque idea, let me illustrate it with a couple of stories from Greene's best-selling work. But first, let me share an old Sufi proverb to get your heads going. Pick up a bee from kindness and learn the limitations of kindness. In the midst of the 9th century AD, a tale unfolded within the grand tapestry of the Byzantine Empire. A youth named Michael III ascended to the throne, stepping into a realm marred by tumultuous events. The Empress Theodora, his mother, had been banished to a nunnery, and her lover Theoctistus met a tragic end at the hands of conspirators. At the helm of this treacherous plot was none other than Michael's uncle, Bardas, a man of intellect and ambition. As Michael assumed the mantle of ruler, he found himself ensconced in a court fraught with intrigue, murderers, and the morally wayward. Amidst this perilous milieu, he sought a confidant, someone he could trust implicitly. His gaze fell upon Basilius, a figure not versed in the machinations of government and politics, but endowed with unwavering loyalty. Curiously, Basilius had once presided over the royal stables, a far cry from the corridors of power. Their paths had crossed years earlier when, during a visit to the stables, a wild horse threatened Michael's life. In that moment, Basilius, a humble groom of Macedonian origin, displayed remarkable strength and courage, saving the young ruler. Impressed by this act of devotion, Michael elevated Basilius from the shadows of horse training to the esteemed position of head of the stables. A deep bond formed, sealed with gifts and favors that made them inseparable. Basilius, a crude peasant by birth, was ushered into the refined circles of Byzantium's finest school, emerging as a cultured and sophisticated courtier. Now, as Michael assumed the imperial throne, the need for unwavering loyalty became paramount. Amidst conflicting advice, he turned away from the more qualified Bardas and instead chose his dear friend, Basilius, for the pivotal roles of chamberlain and chief counselor. Despite the skepticism of those around him, Michael saw beyond Basilius's humble origins, recognizing a brotherly love that transcended the complexities of courtly politics. In this fateful decision, Michael entrusted the governance of the empire to a friend who owed him everything, a decision that would shape the course of their intertwined destinies. Basilius's ascent to prominence within the Byzantine Empire unfolded with remarkable speed. Swiftly grasping the intricacies of state affairs, he became the trusted advisor to Emperor Michael, counseling him on all matters of governance. However, a persistent challenge marred Basilius's otherwise flourishing career. His insatiable appetite for wealth and power, exposure to the opulence of the Byzantine court kindled Basilius's avarice, and the pursuit of grandeur became an incessant demand. In response, Michael, recognizing the worth of keeping his advisor content, magnanimously increased Basilius's salary, ennobled him, and even orchestrated a marriage between Basilius and his own mistress, Eudoxia Ingarina. Yet the seeds of discord were sown. Basilius, ever astute, convinced Michael that another influential figure, Bardas, the head of the army, harbored dangerously ambitious aspirations. Persuaded that Bardas posed a threat to his throne, Michael succumbed to Basilius's manipulative counsel, resulting in the murder of his own uncle. With Bardas out of the picture, Basilius cunningly seized the vacant position as head of the army, consolidating his grip on both the realm and its potential for rebellion. His power and wealth burgeoned, eclipsing even the emperor's stature. The turning point came when Michael, now facing financial woes from his own extravagance, sought repayment for loans extended to Basilius over the years. In an unexpected twist, Basilius defiantly refused to comply, unveiling a brazen impudence that left Michael dumbfounded. The former stable boy had amassed not only wealth but also allies in the army and the Senate. It became painfully apparent to the emperor that Basilius wielded more power than he himself possessed. A few weeks later, in a cruel twist of fate, Michael awoke from a night of revelry to find himself surrounded by soldiers. Basilius, once a loyal friend, watched coldly as they mercilessly ended the emperor's life. Proclaiming himself the new sovereign, Basilius rode triumphantly through the streets of Byzantium, displaying the severed head of his former benefactor and closest companion at the end of a long pike. Michael III placed his future in the belief that Basilius would be forever grateful to him. He was convinced that Basilius, owing the emperor his wealth, education, and position, would be the most devoted servant. The strategy involved providing Basilius with whatever he desired once in a position of power, reinforcing the bond between them. However, it wasn't until that fateful day when Michael saw the impudent smile on Basilius's face that he realized the gravity of his fatal error. He had inadvertently unleashed a formidable force, a man who, having tasted power, craved more, demanding and receiving everything as if entitled. But Basilius, burdened by the emperor's benevolence, exhibited a common human tendency to forget past favors and convince oneself of earning success through personal merit. In the moment of realization, Michael still had the chance to preserve his own life. However, the blindness induced by friendship and love led him to dismiss any notion of betrayal from a trusted friend. Despite mounting evidence, Michael continued in disbelief until the day his own head found its place on a pike. The essence of this narrative can be encapsulated in Voltaire's words, "Lord, protect me from my friends. I can take care of my enemies." After the decline of the Han dynasty in AD 2222, Chinese history unfolded in a recurring pattern of tumultuous and bloody coups. For several centuries, the narrative comprised scheming military figures plotting the demise of weak emperors, subsequently replacing them with robust generals who in turn established new dynasties. To secure their own rule, these generals often resorted to eliminating their fellow commanders. The position of the Chinese emperor, it seemed, was one of isolation and constant peril. Arguably the least powerful and most precarious role in the realm. In AD 959, General Cao Caronjori defied this historical cycle by ascending to the throne as Emperor Sung. Aware of the predictable odds and the imminent threat of assassination, he pondered how to break free from this cyclical pattern. Shortly after assuming the imperial mantle, Sung orchestrated a banquet to commemorate the inauguration of the new dynasty. He extended invitations to the most influential army commanders, creating an atmosphere of tension and suspicion. As the wine flowed, Sung dismissed the guards and all others, leaving only the generals who now feared a sudden massacre. To their surprise, Sung addressed them openly, acknowledging the pervasive fear that clouded their days and expressing his own discontent. He delved into their aspirations, recognizing that each of them harbored dreams of ascending the throne. Doubting neither their loyalty nor allegiance, Sung confronted the underlying issue, the potential for subordinates to force the imperial mantle upon them. In response to their drunken and fearful denials, Sung proposed an unexpected alternative. The best way to lead one's life is in the serene enjoyment of wealth and honor. If you are willing to relinquish your commands, I stand ready to provide you with luxurious estates and splendid dwellings where you can revel in the company of singers and companions. This unorthodox approach sought to break the cycle of power struggles and offer the generals an alternative path, one of contentment and pleasure without the constant threat of betrayal and bloodshed. The generals, taken aback by Sung's unexpected offer of prosperity and security in lieu of a life fraught with anxiety and strife, quickly grasped the magnitude of the opportunity before them. In a remarkable turn of events, each general submitted their resignations the following day, willingly embracing a life of nobility on the estates generously bestowed upon them by Sung. With this decisive move, Sung transformed what could have been a treacherous pack of friendless wolves likely to betray him into a docile flock of lambs, removed from any position of influence. Sung continued his strategic efforts to consolidate and fortify his reign over the years. In AD 971, King Lear of the Southern Han, who had rebelled for an extended period, contrary to Li's expectations, Sung not only granted him a position in the imperial court, but also extended an invitation to the palace to solidify their newfound friendship through a shared glass of wine. As Liu hesitated, suspecting poison, Sung dispelled his fears by consuming the wine himself. This act of trust transformed Li into Sung's most devoted and reliable friend. Amid the fragmentation of China into smaller kingdoms, Sung faced the defeat of Chai En-shu, the king of one such realm. Although Sung's ministers advocated imprisoning the defeated rebel, Sung took a different approach. Instead, he honored Shi En-shu and handed him a package with instructions to open it halfway home. To his surprise, Xian Shu found all the documents detailing his conspiracy upon opening the bundle. Sung's magnanimity, in sparing him despite knowledge of his murderous plans, swayed Xian Shu's allegiance. Consequently, Xian Shu became one of Sung's most steadfast and loyal vassals. A Chinese proverb vividly illustrates the peril that friendships can pose, likening them to the jaws and teeth of a dangerous beast capable of devouring the unwary. Emperor Sung, keenly aware of the potential dangers he faced, recognized the voracious appetites that awaited him on the throne. Both the army friends ready to consume him and the government friends poised to have him for supper, disavowing the concept of friendship in his realm. Emperor Sung strategically avoided entanglements with his fellow generals by enticing them with opulent estates, effectively neutralizing their potential threats without resorting to outright violence. Eliminating them would have only fueled a cycle of vengeance among other generals. Emperor Sung took a starkly different approach with those deemed friendly ministers. Rejecting their camaraderie, he eschewed the risk they posed by often offering them his infamous cup of poisoned wine. In contrast to the expectations and jealousies that brewed among friends seeking favors, Sung harnessed the potential of his enemies. One by one, he utilized them, transforming former adversaries into steadfast and reliable subjects, freed from the burden of anticipated favors. These former enemies, suddenly spared from the guillotine, became profoundly grateful and willing to go to great lengths for the man who had pardoned them. In time, these once adversarial relationships evolved into Sung's most trustworthy friendships. Through this unconventional strategy, Emperor Sung successfully disrupted the cyclic patterns of coups, violence, and civil strife that had plagued China. The Sung dynasty, under his rule, endured for more than 300 years, marking a significant departure from the historical tumult that characterized the empire. It's only natural to seek the assistance of friends when faced with challenging times. In a harsh world, the presence of friends serves to soften the harshness, offering comfort and familiarity. After all, why rely on a stranger when a friend is within reach? However, the inherent challenge lies in the fact that one often does not know friends as intimately as initially presumed. Friendships may involve a certain level of agreement to avoid conflicts, with unpleasant qualities concealed to maintain harmony. Friends may go the extra mile to support each other's endeavors, laughing heartily at jokes and expressing admiration for various talents. The problem arises when you decide to employ a friend, gradually uncovering aspects of their character that were intentionally kept hidden. Ironically, the act of kindness in hiring a friend can upset the balance. Individuals often want to feel deserving of their good fortune, and receiving a favor solely based on friendship rather than merit can be burdensome. The act of hiring friends may inadvertently carry a hint of condescension that secretly affects them. Over time, the friendship may deteriorate, revealing flashes of resentment and envy, and attempts to revive it with favors and gifts may yield diminishing gratitude. Ingratitude, with its long and deep history, proves to be a powerful force that people consistently underestimate. To avoid disappointment, it's wise not to expect gratitude from friends and to be pleasantly surprised when it does manifest. The downside of utilizing or hiring friends becomes apparent in its inherent limitation on power. A friend may not always be the most capable ally, as skill and competence ultimately surpass the warmth of friendly feelings. Michael III, for instance, had Bardas right under his nose, a man who could have provided sound guidance and ensured his survival. In all working situations, a certain distance between individuals is necessary. The focus is on achieving tasks rather than fostering friendships, and genuine or feigned friendliness only serves to obscure this reality. The key to power lies in the ability to discern who is best suited to advance your interests in any given situation. While friends have their place in personal relationships, aligning with the skilled and competent is crucial in the realm of work and power. While it is generally advisable to keep work and friendship separate, there are instances where a friend can be more strategically advantageous than an enemy. A person of power often faces tasks that require discretion and a certain degree of unsavory action. For the sake of maintaining appearances, it is preferable to delegate such tasks to others, and friends, driven by their affection, are often the most willing to take risks on behalf of their powerful ally. Moreover, in the event of plans going awry, a friend can serve as a convenient scapegoat. This tactic, known as the fall of the favorite, has been a recurring strategy employed by kings and sovereigns. By allowing their closest friend at court to take the blame for a mistake, they create the illusion that it was an unintended sacrifice rather than a deliberate act. However, one must recognize the irreversible cost of playing the scapegoat card. It leads to the permanent loss of the friend involved. Therefore, it is wise to reserve the role of scapegoat for someone who is close but not overly so. The challenge in working with friends lies in the potential confusion of boundaries and distances required in a professional setting. Nevertheless, if both parties comprehend the risks involved, collaborating with a friend can yield significant benefits. Vigilance is paramount in such ventures, and one must remain alert to signs of emotional disturbance such as envy and ingratitude. In the ever-shifting realm of power, even the closest friendships can transform into the most formidable of enmities. That's it for today. If you have gotten this far, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did enjoy this episode, please give us a like and subscribe to our channel for more high-quality content.